Mnuchin, who would now like a $500 billion slush fund to give out to big corporations.
Willy-nilly.
Someone has some thoughts about that, and her name is the Honorable Representative Maxine Waters. I have never wanted to talk to a human more than you at this moment, Representative. Representative Maxine Waters, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be with you.
I have never been so anxious to talk to someone because you have been out there since day one fighting this fight, warning us about this president who is a national security threat, who is actively killing people with his constant lies and disinformation. And I'm sure this bill came as no surprise to you that this is a bailout for, corporations, his rich buddies, Donald Trump's businesses. And there you come with a real bill to help real people. Tell us about it, Representative Waters.
Yeah, well, thank you so very much. And you're absolutely right. This president has long ago defined himself. And so not only has he defined himself, I'm actually shocked that the people of our country have not absolutely demanded his removal from office. But I guess he has his followers. But as you take a look at how he's conducting himself right now, it's shameful that he is lying again, that he's distorting information, basically proving again he cannot be trusted. Yeah. And so we have to keep fighting, and we have to keep moving on to do the best that we can. And so I put together a plan, basically dealing with the issues that come before my committee. And what I have said is we've got to have families first. We've got to think about families and children. And one of the things that I put at the top of my agenda was that we would have cash payments to families, $2,000 to adults, $1,000 to children. You have people who are working on minimum paying jobs, and they're living paycheck to paycheck, and they're going to get laid off. They're going to get fired. Their businesses are going to close down. They won't have food to put on the table for their children, but for their government coming to their assistance. And it is good business for our economy. When you make cash available to people who need to spend it right away for their basic needs, that money goes right back into the economy and helps to strengthen the economy. So you're doing two things at one time. You're assisting families in a real and concrete way, and you're helping to strengthen the economy so that the markets, everything that's happening on Wall Street, is looking to see if, in fact, investors can be protected, looking to see if, in fact, they can have confidence in, the economy, et cetera. And so I put that at the top of the agenda to get that cash infusion. We passed a couple of bills out of Congress. Yep. The first was the $8.3 billion emergency funding that provides $2.2 billion in public health funding for prevention, preparedness, and response. And then we passed the second bill out that does even more for the Families First Act. And that would make sure that there's free coronavirus retesting for everyone who needs it. And that has been a real issue. Yeah. It enhances employment insurance and secures paid emergency leave. And it kind of strengthens the nutrition program. And then we have to pay attention to what is happening with Medicaid. It increases the federal funds for Medicaid to support our local, state, and tribal territories. So in addition to all of that, what I did was I weighed in on the third package. And my plan, again, starts out with providing that cash infusion. We would also suspend all consumer and small business credit payments on mortgages, car loans, student loans, credit cards, and certain other debts. Right. We would establish a way by which the Federal Reserve or the Treasury would reimburse these creditors for their lost revenue. We would suspend all negative consumer credit reporting. We would prohibit debt collection, repossession, and garnishment of wages during the pandemic. We would also support renters, homeowners, and people experiencing homelessness.
That covers it.
Yeah.
That covers it. By the way, Representative, we're talking to Maxine Waters, chairwoman of the House Financial Services Committee, and this is why Mitch McConnell and his friends are such a disgrace. The House has the power of the purse. So them trying to push through this partisan $500 billion slush fund for corporations when they should have just been working with you and Speaker Pelosi from the beginning. You even tweeted just about testing. You said it's shameful, disappointing, and tragic that the greatest country in the world, the U.S., has only tested 14,000 people as opposed to South Korea, which is testing 20,000 a day. I mean, that's where this starts, right, is stopping this virus because the financial impacts are just ripples from the virus, right?
It's a scandal. It's an absolute scandal. You're absolutely correct. We've got to have testing, and to be so far behind is just inconceivable. As a matter of fact, it all starts with the president getting rid of the pandemic office in the White House that should have been involved in planning and anticipation of being able to deal with disaster and a pandemic such as this. But we didn't. We don't have that office. We didn't do any planning. We're not prepared. We're behind in testing. And the other scandal is our hospitals do not have the basic supplies that they need to attend to the sick. Can you imagine the United States of America, hospitals being without masks and gloves and protective covering for shoes and respirators and all of that?
Yep.
It is shameful, and we can lay the blame right at the foot of this president, and he had the audacity to come on television and talk about he accepts no responsibility.
Thank you. And by the way, you were early talking about, the atrocity of the Iraq War, where we sent our soldiers in on a pack of lies without the protective equipment. I mean, it's the same thing. They're trying to make body armor. Our frontline medical workers are trying to make their own masks or trying to reuse them. I mean, as you tweeted, you said our hospitals are out of gloves, masks, gowns, respirators, protective shoe coverings, and basic supplies. What the hell more is Trump waiting for? You said, hey, stupid, this is the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
I just love your blunt talk because we don't have time for seriously dancing around this. I mean, you tweeted Trump is duplicitous and causes confusion every time he opens his lying mouth. He claims to invoke the Defense Production Act, but later says he was waiting for the worst case scenario. How many more people have to get sick or die before he exercises the full power? We can't even get an answer on that. Why hasn't he deployed it?
Well, I don't know. First of all, this president usually doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. And then he's got those around him who are right-wing conservatives, I think, that would have him believe, we can't have this government interference. That's socialism. You can't do that. And so on the one hand, he knows that this Defense Production Act can be used, and he knows that many of us know it can be used. So he rolls out like he's behind it, and then he kind of pulls back and talks about only in a crisis. What the hell is he talking about? What my tweet said.
Yeah.
It doesn't make good sense.
Yeah. Well, and you also tweeted the way Dr. Fauci bowed his head in shame and disgust listening to Trump spout his Fox News talking points is how all of us feel. People in this country are suffering enough. Why would the media subject the American public to Trump's daily lies? Fauci should lead all pressers, period. And by the way, I'm sure you noticed, Congresswoman, that he wasn't there yesterday. Like, he may have already spoken too much truth, right?
That's right. They need to keep him off. And it's so hard for our experts to be able to give us the information at the same time that it's being distorted by the president. And they try to be respectful and not just come out and say, well, this man doesn't know what he's talking about. But, some of us don't have any problems doing that. I will call him out every day of the week, every day of the year, because he's a danger to our democracy.
Yeah, I remember he tweeted a while back that ever since he called you a nickname that you were that you shut up, and I was like, no, you don't know our Aunt Maxine.
Well, as the old people say, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hate. He can't stop me from talking about him.
Thank God.
Simply because he's going to call me. He can call me all the names he wants, but I've got plenty for him.
I know. Well, and you made a good point. Speaking of the, disbanding the pandemic response team, you said Trump's swipe at Yamiche Alcindor is yet another attack on a woman raising serious questions. Trump can't stand being challenged by a woman. He's especially disrespectful toward women of color. Her question was legit. And we all know it. And he's on tape saying that he shut down the pandemic response when he says he doesn't know anything about it and he didn't do it. I mean, we need more Yamiche Alcindors, right?
Yes.
To say that is completely untrue. We have you on tape talking about disbanding the unit.
Yes. It was a legitimate question. And he knows he rolled out in the beginning talking about hoax, talking about it would go away, talking about it would disappear, and keeps talking about how wonderful he is and handling it, and then trying to backtrack and make people believe that he's in the front of doing it. Well, I want to tell you what real leadership looks like. It looks like Gavin Newsom and Cuomo of New York. They're putting him to shame.
Thank you. And he's jealous of it. It's always about him. I mean, the fact that he does a press conference, Congresswoman, to whine about how hard it is for him and for rich people to run for office and how unfair. And
so sick of that.
I mean, it's really, as you say, he is dispensing dangerous misinformation. The network should not cover this live. And it's just, I mean, when he says, I wish China had told us sooner, someone needs to say our intelligence agencies did tell you sooner and you ignored it, right? I mean, it's...
Absolutely. He ignored the first early information that he got. But again, he has demonstrated that he cannot be trusted. And the American public should have no confidence in him. And to keep allowing him to use our airwaves to continue to confuse and distort and lie, it just has to stop. Keep him off.
Yeah. And by the way, please go to the phone. Support Chairwoman Waters' bill. As you tweeted, my coronavirus relief plan puts families, consumers, and workers first. My plan recognizes so many people in this country are worried about what happens when their mortgage, rent, car payments, bills are due. That's why I'm working with the House and Senate to get my plan passed. The Senate bailout bill must protect employees. There should be no firings, no layoffs, no cut in pay, no cut in hours, diminishing health benefits or pensions. The bailout must not increase pay for CEOs, give bonuses, and allow for stock buybacks. American workers must come first. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Then, listen, as someone that has had to follow you at a church in South Central Los Angeles, God bless you. God bless you, Maxine Waters.
I love you. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
We love you, Chairwoman. Thank you so much for fighting for us. Okay, there she goes.